I'm Rene Bruin. Welcome back to another episode on Bruin Media Channel YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about street photography portraits, my favourite portraits over the last few years. And I will also talk about something I call pub traits, which is where I get talking to somebody interesting in a bar, pub, and interesting character, and I take a nice portrait of them, or they look interesting. So sit back, relax. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Share it if you don't do that. Every bit of exposure helps me out. Thank you. This is my local stomping ground where I like to go around with my camera and video on my drone, take photographs, make some videos, and have some nice flights over the harbour. This is the perfect place to chill out, especially on a cold winter's day like today, where you can go into the local pub, sit by the fire, have a bowl of nice stew and enjoy a pint of Guinness and read the paper. It's also a great place to meet local. While standing at this very point, I met a local man who's homeless. His name is Noel, and we got talking. He's a great character and I enjoyed our conversation, and he has a bit of a love for photography himself. I asked him was it okay to take his portrait. He said it was no problem at all. I took a lovely black and white shot, showed him in the camera, and he absolutely loved it. I made sure that I came back to Noel later in the day and gave him a lovely thick winter jacket along with a woolly hat and some socks and a bit of food. I wanted to make sure he was okay, and I went back to check on him at a later stage as well. Noel is one of those faces where you can just tell he's seen a lot. There's a lot of character in his face, and I loved his grey, rough, scruffy beard and all the wrinkles in his forehead. I just knew straight away that this would work so much better as a black and white shot in colour, but I didn't want to do the standard shot where you see some people's in-camera version, which is just grey and white. I wanted to make sure there's a nice tonal contrast to get the real look that I wanted for this shot, and I'm pretty happy with this one, and so is Noel. From Holt I head back to my local village, my hometown of Baldoyle. It's a beautiful coastal town with a nice small community and very friendly. You don't have to go into the big cities for your street photography or places full of tourists. You can shoot a lot of good stuff locally as well, and that's what I like to try to do. I like to show people that you can shoot local and still get some great shots. Like this particular shot in, I think, 2021 around Christmas time. This is a lad I knew from growing up in Stopolan. His name is Liam. Now, if I told him beforehand I wanted to take this shot, I wouldn't be able to get a good shot. People are very self-conscious and aware when they suddenly think there's a camera on them, and it wouldn't be very natural. So I saw the shot, I thought it was beautiful lighting. I said, once again, I shoot in black and white as I love to do, and I took the image. He's just busy doing his crossword, sitting in the pub enjoying himself. And then after I showed him the photograph, he was absolutely delighted with it and asked for a copy. This next image again is another local lad by the name of Sean, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He was a bus driver and he would regularly be in the pub after his shift enjoying a pint. He always had his jacket on most of the times because he didn't stay too long, but he had a great head of hair in him, and he had a lovely sort of wrinkled face that you could tell again over time. I think older people, who have wrinkles and that have a bit more character. And I said to him, there was some lovely light coming in through the window. It's just after it been raining and the sun had came out. And again, it's like I see the images in my head before I take them. I knew this was just going to be a lovely black and white shot. So I asked him, is there any chance he could just, look over towards me for a second while I get the camera out. And I took the image, made sure I had everything, exposure and everything right. And once again, I'm very happy with the shot. It worked out well. And these are one of the shots that I would call a pub trait. It's not necessarily a portrait, it's just a shot in a local pub, or any pub for that matter, with good lighting, and you can get some great characters and some great photographs out of it. Now, for this image, I will always say never, ever, ever take pictures of any kids at all. It's just a no-go. And even if you see a child, that you think, oh, make a great picture, by all means, and 100% definitely go up and ask parents' permission. Make sure there's no confusion. Everything is above board. In this case, I'm very lucky. I have extended family, and basically they're all models and posers. They're great fun. And I said to them, is there any chance we can get a nice picture for your parents if we just go out and stand against the side wall of the apartment? Of course, they could never keep a straight face. They all wanted to be the best person in the picture. just posing away, grinning away and having a great time. And of course, it's a beautiful black and white shot. I absolutely love it. Now, for this next image, I have to say, I love this photograph as well. This is Richie. Richie is a gas man. He's a great character. He'd come down the pub. It would take him about 5 minutes from when he walks through the door to get to his seat. He just kind of waddles to his seat. Basically, Richard, funnily enough, had fought in South Africa in the wars with another local guy who used to drink down the pub. This is at the racecourse in Baldoyle, Charles. And it turns out they drank together, but they didn't realise they were fighting in the same war at the time. So it was quite unusual, you know. And he's just a great character, but he's very camera shy. He didn't really want to, you know, pose for a picture, which is ideal. So he just wanted to look away. He's joined his pint of Coors Light. And I have to say, he was an absolute character. He's a real gentleman. I haven't seen him for a long time. I hope he's still around. Lovely guy. Now, would you look at this guy? Indiana Bleeding Jones. This is an old school friend, believe it or not. Rory Gurn, who we were in secondary school together, and I happened to bump into him once outside the Bayside Inn. Lovely chap, and you know, I said, God, that hat, it's like Crocodile Dundee or something. I said, really adds a lot of character to you. Do you mind if I take a black and white portrait? And once again, you know, sometimes you can just ask people and they're very happy to pose. This shot, I think, works better as a posed image rather than just like a completely off the cuff, shoot from the hip type shot. And again, you can see I had darkened around the edges using a bit of vignetting style, just to put the centre focus directly on Rory himself, and his bit of stubble there, you know, adds a bit of character to his face. Again, a nice black and white shot in my opinion. You might disagree, or you might think you can do it better. If so, put a note in the comments, I'll happily read. And that's what is good about this. We can all share experiences, tips and tricks. Again, some extended family, Bailey, May and Daniel Jr. I'd taken them down to see the ducks down in Baldoyle Village, and just, you know, said we get another nice picture for Mammy and Daddy. And of course, they can't sit still, you know, they're kids, and unfortunately they're full of sugar because I got them some lovely cake at the little cafe as well. So I just enjoy these shots again. Sometimes it's great when you have nieces and nephews that you can practice with. This is Derek Quinn, aka Skinny. I met Skinny after my mum had passed away, and I'd gone down to the local pub with my father. He's one of the men my dad knows down the pub. I got chatting to him. He's a bit of a character. He has a laugh like Sid James from the Carry On movies. He's a nice guy. You'd always enjoy a good chat with him, and basically he's more than happy to pose for pictures for me. He knows I love my photography, and I always do some nice black and white shots for him. Usually I'll try to give him some actual physical portraits, you know, physical prints I should say, because he enjoys them and I enjoy taking them. You know, he's a great character, you know, lots of wrinkles on the face, and you know, he can just get away with some great shots with him. As you see here, he's vaping. I said to him, geez, you look like Puff the Magic Dragon when you're blowing all that smoke out. You know, you forget it's like not tobacco smoke, it's that vape stuff, but probably just as bad for you anyway in the long run. This is one of my all-time favourite shots of him, taken during the time when we had COVID restrictions and there was about 10 or 15 people only allowed in the pub. In this case, it's the outside of the pub, it's the beer garden. And I said, do you mind if I take a new portrait of you? I'm a bit bored, there's, you know, nothing really going on, a day off. And he pulled a few different poses, and that was one of my favourite shots. And it seems to be a lot of people's favourite photographs. It's a very popular image, especially amongst the photography community. And interesting fact, Skinny is not skinny at the weekend. He likes to be known as Mr. Skinny. So if you ever see him, give him a shout and say, all right, Skinny. Or if it's the weekend, all right, Mr. Skinny. Well, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to leave Baldoyle in the next episode and move on into the city centre and show you some shots I've taken there. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share the video. Thank you, and thanks for supporting Bruin Media.